Hello everybody and welcome to the shop this evening. I don't normally make a habit of doing follow-up videos. However, the collaboration I recently did with Zac Higgins has been a very popular video for me. The herringbone pen that I made using some of Zac's Alumilite strips turned out wonderful, and I've had a lot of positive feedback from all of you, and for that I want to say thank you very much. Also, there have been a number of questions. So I took a few minutes, I went back through the feed and wrote down all of the questions. I also had some email questions and some that came in. I talked to a lot of you over on Facebook through private message, and I grabbed some of those questions as well. And I've kind of compiled them here, and I thought I would go over them, talk about the video, talk about the overall collaboration, talk about the impetus of the idea, and just kind of give you guys the background and fill in any blanks that might have been missed in the video. First up is I want to talk a little bit about the idea and how Zac and I kind of put this whole thing together. Quite a while back, I did a soda can segmented pen, and a fellow named Chris Anderson commented on the pen and said that he really liked the pen, but that maybe I should try a segmented pen using acrylic ribbons as separators instead of cans. Now I thought that was a really good idea, and my mind immediately went to Zac Higgins. I had recently seen Zac. He was using the X-Carve, and I believe it was HDPE blocks to carve thin grooves in those blocks, or thin valleys in them, to be able to pour resin and make a nice smooth thin pour. I immediately thought, wow, you know, he could do that, cut them up, make ribbons, and they'd be Alumilite. I could maybe incorporate them into a pen. So I got on the phone, I called Zac, and he was very receptive to the idea. So we put the wheels in motion. The idea was we would make a phone call, ask each other a couple of questions, or I would ask him some questions. He would answer in regard to some Alumilite strips, and then Zac would make the strips, recording his process, and then he would mail those strips to me. I would then receive the strips and make some type of pen. At the time, I had no idea I was going to do a herringbone design. That idea came about way later in the process. I'll also tell you that this collaboration probably started, I'm going to guess, maybe almost 4 months ago. Zac may have a better memory than I do. And because I was in the process of moving and tearing down my temporary shop, setting up this new shop, it took a while to put all this together. I'd like to start off with one comment that I received that said, "I hope you're going to show us what you do with the glow-in-the-dark ribbons." Boy, is that an interesting story. I was blown away with what Zac sent me. The glow-in-the-dark material was awesome. First thing I did was charge it under a light and run into the laundry room where it's dark, shut the door so I could watch it glow, and trust me, it looked cool. Then I remembered a while back, Peter Brown did a video where he was turning Osage orange, and he mentioned in the video that Osage glows under black light. I had recently acquired some Osage blanks, so I grabbed them and I started making this same pen with Osage orange and the glow-in-the-dark material. I want to show you a quick look at the back half, or the cap blank from that pen, because the rest of the pen, unfortunately, didn't make it. Here's a better look at the blank. This would have been the cap section of the pen. It looks pretty good on this side, but you can kind of see I've got some chip out right there. The Osage was extremely hard. It is a tough material to turn. The rewards are there, though, when you turn it, because it's absolutely gorgeous once finished. Now the top half of this pen, or the front half of the pen, was chipped out so bad and a big section came loose. I'll show you a couple of pictures here in a moment, and I ended up just turning all the material off the tube, and that tube is actually the front tube in the cherry and red Alumilite blank. I was really upset when this attempt didn't work. I called Zac and I was like, "Zac, man, I'm just totally bummed this didn't work. I tried using my roughing gouge, I tried my skew, I tried a brand new cutter that I got from Easy Wood Tools, and I just kept having tear out after tear out after tear out, and it was so hard, the material, which Osage is extremely hard. And then Zac told me that some of the powder that he mixes, the glow powder, is extremely abrasive. So I think the combination of the two just was a little bit too much for my tools. I still have the video footage, but I'm not going to do anything with it because it just didn't turn out. Would I be opposed to trying this same blank again in the future? No, I'd love to try it again in the future. And if Zac and I ever work on another collaboration, possibly we could reattempt this pen. Another question that I got was, why didn't you wear gloves during the glue up? I tell you, I get so excited about what I do. I had actually gone out earlier that day and bought a box of 100 latex gloves. And my plan was to wear gloves. I got started, I got so excited I jumped right in and started the project. And by the time I realized, Bob, you're not wearing gloves, it was too late. In the future, I hope to wear gloves and to show that on the video so that you can see I am taking precautions to protect my hands and my skin. The number one question I got was, what pen kit was that? I'm going to tell you exactly what it was, and I'll include this information down in the comments for anyone who's interested. But this pen kit came from Penn State. It was the classic rollerball pen. It was black enamel and 24 karat gold. The part number is PKPAR10RB, and I paid $11.95 for the kit. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about Zac's ribbons. Now for the collaboration, Zac was incredibly kind enough to make the ribbons for me at no charge, and he even paid to ship them to me. So for that, thank you, Zac. I do appreciate it because I know a lot of effort went into these, especially after watching your video. Zac is going to be selling these ribbons for anyone who's interested. They're going to be 1 inch wide, 7 inches long, by 3/32 thick. That'll be one color. So you can't say, well, give me one of this color, one of that color. You pick a color and that's it. And the ribbons are 5 for $25. Now I've heard a couple of comments, people saying, oh man, that's too expensive. You know, you pay for quality. And these are quality ribbons. And if you look at his video and see what goes into making them, you realize why he has to charge a price like this. And truthfully, I think they are worth what he's asking. Now, here's a question that no one asked, but I kind of thought of myself. How much material did I use? I used almost 3 full strips to make this pen. It was about 2.5 to 2 3/4 strips at 7 inches long. And I used 1.5 cherry blanks. So that'll give you kind of an idea of what it takes. You know, you have to disassemble them and cut them all up and then reassemble them to make the blank. Another really good question was, when you make a blank like this, it takes so much time, can you sell it for enough to make it worth your while? Or is this project something that you make just for you or as a gift? It's kind of a two-part question. Quite honestly, there are pen makers out there who can make a pen like this and sell it for hundreds, maybe $1,000. Me, I'm not that well known, so for me the answer is no. I would never get, when you stop and think, 2 pen blanks plus $15 worth of Alumilite plus a $12 pen kit, a little bit of shipping involved in there. On top of that, I'm going to guess there's probably 2 hours worth of time in building the blank and prepping the blank and turning the blank. So truthfully, I would never be able to get my money's worth out of this blank. For me, I would end up making this blank just for me or as a gift for someone. Another good question here. Do you think using Titebond and a press would have provided less gaps? Now, when I first answered this question, I immediately went to Titebond wood glue. I didn't stop to think, maybe he was referring to like a Titebond CA glue or a Titebond, kind of like the Gorilla Glue type of glue that sort of expands and foams, the poly, and I forget what it's called, pardon me. The answer is, I really think that a press probably would have helped force the blank together and could have reduced some of the gaps. But I think if you really wanted to close those gaps up, what might have even worked better was epoxy. And that brings up another question, and this is one that I get asked a lot on other projects. People are always, how come you always use CA? Why don't you use epoxy? Epoxy, would be much better. And you know what? 100% agreement. the pins that I do, epoxy would be the best glue to hold those blanks together. The reason I use CA is because what you see when I do a video is me probably building that blank for the first time. I'm prototyping. CA is fast, I can hit it with the accelerator, it's dried that quick, and I can take it to the lathe within a few minutes. That's why I use CA. If I was making this pin for someone else, or making this pin to maybe sell, or even for myself, and it wouldn't be the first pin I made, it was the second or the third, where I'd already worked out all the bugs, I would go epoxy. I'd use 5-minute epoxy. That would help close up gaps. It would hold the pin together much tighter, and I think it would produce a much better product once turned. And the last question I want to go over, and I thought this was pretty good. I stole this question from Zac's video. But someone asked, love the collab, who keeps the pin? Okay, there's a bit of a story behind this as well. Initially, when I pitched this idea to Zac, I pitched it as, you make the Alumilite strips, send them to me, I'll build the pin, I'll send the pin back to you, and you can give it away in your monthly giveaway. And that's what I fully intended to happen. However, once I turned this pin, and I had some problems with it, and there were a few minor flaws, it's technically the first one, it's really kind of the second one I've ever made. Truthfully, it's not up to my standards. Any of you who have ever received one of my pins or purchased a pin from me know that I'm meticulous and particular. If it's not perfect, I don't want it out there. I take great pride in my work. This pin is far from perfect, and I would be embarrassed to sell this pin, or I would never give it as a gift because it's just not up to my quality control standards. What I'm going to end up doing with this pin, and this is honest to God's truth, I'm going to take my disassembly kit, I'll knock it apart, I'll probably purchase a couple of spare tubes from Penn State, and I'll turn another pin onto this kit. Maybe another herringbone design, may not, I don't know, but this pin is probably going to be disassembled in the not so distant future. I would really like to thank everyone for watching my little follow-up video here. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention. You probably noticed, check out this shop swag. When I met up with Mike Fulton at the woodworking show up in Indiana, Mike brought me this t-shirt, and Mike, thank you. I love the shirt. My favorite thing about it is the color. I think this purple and gold is awesome together. This reminds me, and I just thought about this. I'm sitting here drinking out of my old high school mug. Louisville Male High School. Our colors were maroon and gold. Maybe that's why I like it so much. But anyway, I want to say thank you for following along. Thank you for watching this follow-up video. I am going to put a link to my video as well as Zac's video, and if you've missed either one of the videos, the blank making video or the Alumilite making video, please take a few minutes and watch them. Zac and I both appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to our channels, please do subscribe. Leave us comments, give us a thumbs up, tell us what you think. I want to let everyone know that you are always welcome in my shop. Come back and see me again real soon. Have a great evening, guys. Take care.